All right, guys. Today's guest is a social dynamics coach who specializes in helping men build their dream social life, network with high status individuals, and attract high quality females into their life. From being bullied at a young age through school and having low self-confidence around women in his early adult life, he decided that he didn't want to live life in the past anymore. So he decided to start learning the skills of building better self-worth and started learning the skills like how to pick up women and have better social skills in public. He then went on to become the largest dating coach in all of Australia. He's traveled over 35 different countries, teaching millions of people around the world how to become the biggest social connectors in the world. So please help me welcome the guy who went from being bullied through school, was 2 minutes away from dying at the age of 19, to now having trained millions of people around the world the secrets to living a life of confidence and to have the best social skills in the game. My friend, Mr. Sam Matheson.
Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for having me.
Mate, you came here.
I did come here. I was going to say, who is that guy? Like, do I know?
Every time I put a bio together for people, they're like, wow, this guy sounds legit. But man,
Thank you for that. That was very, very prestigious. I feel honored for that. Thank you.
Dude, I'm fired up to have you on because I feel like we can talk about so much stuff. When we first met, I was just like, there's some sort of people you can connect with and it's like really easy to talk with. And it's like, instantly I was like, this guy's a bro. He's good to chat with. And I'm so curious about everything you've learned. Curious about how you put it in to practice, because I don't think I've shared this at all, but I've told you, but when I was probably about 18, me and my friends found the whole world of pickup artists and all this sort of stuff. And I was so fascinated on all because I was like, wow, there's teaching skills on how to pick up women, but the underlying thing to it all is actually how to become really confident and just not be socially fucking weird. Because women are attracted to men who are just confident and not fucking weird. So that was my whole insight into self-development and everything, all that. So I'm really fascinated to talk about it. But I want to hear about how you got into it all.
Yeah, well, this is a story I've told a lot of times over and over again, but I'm going to put a different twist to it. Yeah. Right? You know when you get the old, what's your story? And I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah, give it better for these guys.
A little bit better. So basically, I came from, at the age of very young, I had a passion for golf, right? And we're talking the age of 2. I had an obsession for it.
And this guy's an insane golfer.
Yeah, well, we played the other day. Wasn't that fun? We played 9 holes the other day.
We went out golfing the other day, and he takes like, how many balls do you have? Like 2 or 3 balls? Yeah. And then we brought out some of the boys. They lose like 3 or 4 balls on their first tee off.
Yeah, we were on the whole 6, no balls left.
It's going to be a long day.
So I got into golf, right? And that was all good. But as you know, any sort of sport or activity, it kind of isolates you a little bit. Golf being one, that's very isolating. It's a singular sport, you and you alone. Because you're not with a caddy at the time when you're a junior and you're just playing around. So there was a bit of juniors, but I really associated with like people that are a little bit older, right? So we're talking from 40s to about 80s. Now that kind of shaped my social skills, right? So I went from a kid that was in a public school, all like boys and girls, to a singular all boys school, Catholic school. Then also being able to, talking with Betty and John at the golf club and the country club, just, talking with them for hours and hours, most days of the week, my social skills developed into this, period where I couldn't relate to the people that I was talking to. So, kids my age, 14, 15, 16, had no chance with them. I'd always say I wish it was just one-on-one with us. I never liked group dynamics. I didn't like any of that stuff. So what I did was, I just buried that and continued to play golf. That's it. I was like, bury it. I don't have time to work on it. I was a victim mindset. Everything was like, oh, well, why couldn't have had these things? Why couldn't I? And so I'd ask the older parents and, the older guys I was playing with and the girls, and they were like, oh, you're fine. You're so lovely, And that's what I got. I was like, oh, I got the nice, lovely kid. And I was like, great, but that doesn't relate to any results, right? So results being like, I didn't have the friends I wanted. I didn't have any girls in my life. I was just committed to the sport. One time when I was at school, they actually put up a sign of one of the allergies I had. And that's where it all began. It's all where it came crashing down.
What was one of the allergies?
So I got a peanut allergy, and it's kind of quite funny when you got a peanut allergy. Everyone's
does it fuck you up when you have peanuts?
Yeah, well, it used to be hospital and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so
It's
it was pretty bad, yeah. But everyone, even in the Twitter guys, there's a space in Twitter where everyone bags out people with allergies, like, oh, a little peanut's gonna kill you. And it's like, it's true, it is, but not anymore. I've overcome it, and there's a lot of Wim Hof stuff that I do if I have one, and a lot of meditation and stuff that's really helped me in an anaphylactic attack. Great stuff, that stuff. So when they put that sign up in the sick bay, you can imagine a week or two later.
So what did they say? What was
basically,
the
it was like something on the wall that said, like, this person is an anaphylactic, like, please don't take peanuts in. And you can imagine a 16-year-old hearing a little bit of an insecurity, a little bit of something, they ran with it. So after about a week, I came back, my locker was painted full with peanut butter, and that was a regular occurrence. When I was in my final year of school, I accidentally, we had, it was a woodworking project, and we used to stay late, and I was making my year 12 woodwork project. I went to a kebab shop and ordered a kebab. Never had a kebab, 17, kind of a bit weird as an Aussie, never had a kebab. There was a reason for that. So they put peanut sauce all through, and I had an anaphylactic attack at the school, got rushed to hospital, and then that just made everything worse. So they brought it up at like our high school, like end of year ceremony that I was doing that. And so this is the principal and the head, like, you know, people of like big up in the school were still poking at me. So it was like bullying to that level, right? And then I was like, yeah, it's pretty bad.
Like intense, eh?
It was pretty bad.
Let's bully this guy until we'll put him in hospital. When he's
really
still alive, we'll just laugh.
Yeah, it's crazy, yeah.
Right.
But it's all right. There's always a silver lining. Don't worry. Don't be upset with me. So then I get to about 18. I start playing and I try to become pro in golf and stuff. And I have a few injuries. I get a girlfriend. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Fantastic. Someone and I didn't even do the work. And one of the nice guy traits that a lot of guys have is that they have no initiative, right? And so it wasn't even me going in the girlfriend. It was the girl going like, oh, you're my boyfriend now, basically. You're the guy I'm seeing. I'm like, oh, okay, sweet. This is amazing. Right? Because like everything's done for me.
She puts it on her MySpace.
Yeah, she's like, this is my guy. Anyway, she was a cool girl. She was a little older. She was about 25. I was a bit younger, 18, 19 at the time. And I was managing a men's fashion store. So I was, prestigious kind of like career and stuff. Like starting to get known. I liked fashion. I dressed well, dressed in suits every day. Then she actually worked across from me, right? And so when we had a breakup on Christmas Eve. Mm-hmm. She broke up with me, broke my heart, and then we broke up on my birthday 3 weeks later. So back to back, really, really good timing. I couldn't have seen that timing any better. That spiraled me down a bit of depression. And so one thing is that when it's not like as if you feel, and this is really interesting. It's not as if you go from that to depressed, right? Like it's like a slippery slope. So one thing is like I couldn't sleep at all because I'd be thinking about the girl, right? I'm like, oh, she's loving my life. I'd be crying. And this is when I was like 18, 19. And then, so I was like, all right, I need something to sleep because I wasn't sleeping, 3 or 4 days not sleeping. So I started getting on a drug called Restovit. So I started taking Restovit. And because I was so heartbroken, when I would wake up in the morning from taking this drug, it felt like a truck had hit me. And I started to like that feeling because it made me feel something different than heartbreak. That's where the slippery slope happens.
Right.
Then you're going, so there would be one, then it'd be two, then you'd be going to different chemists because you can't go back to the same chemist. You can't be going to the same areas and this and that. And then it ended up into a period where it happened for about 10 months. I'd moved away, she ended up bringing guys, directly across from me, making out with them and trying to like aggravate me pretty much. So it was a nasty situation, punching holes through walls and stuff at work.
But then you got the ultimate payback by becoming the #1 dating coach in Australia.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. You watching this?
No. I look back at those things and I'll flip it just to the end where that was actually the greatest thing that ever happened to me, and I'll explain to you why. So once that all happened, I then I was like, you know what, that's it, I'm ending it. So I grabbed like 5 packets of them. Put them all out, unpacked them, had a big glass of like Mount Franklin water. I was like, this is it. And the only thing that gave me pleasure was YouTube. Right? It's the only thing that I actually liked. And I was like, all right, well, I'll go a bit of YouTube. I'll take all the pills. I'll go back to bed. I guess I'll throw up on myself and my mum will find me dead. I wasn't thinking straight. I wasn't myself. I was complete. And you can ask my parents that they were like, he was not the same kid that we brought up. Found a video with about 2 or 3 minutes left on that 20-minute period called 2 Paths to Mastery. And it was featuring both of my mentors, Elliot Hulse and Owen Cook. And that was a video talking about how back in, it's a little bit of a blur that whole time period, but basically it was a video that got me curious to say that I can actually control my situations, not only physically, but also with socially, with girls, and my scenario where I'm not stuck to what I've got. This is not all I've got. I can actually change and improve. I went down, and the company was at the time was called RSD, Real Social Dynamics, and they basically, I binged watched every single video of theirs, and they had thousands and thousands of videos. I did this and implemented everything that they said, everything. I was like a student of life. And pretty much in about 3 months, I completely revolutionized my life. Completely. By following every single thing they said, going out, being social, talking to people. Now, a lot of the time people say that and they're like, oh, well, it's in this dating thing. It's like, oh, it's picking up girls and stuff. But I was in such a position where I just wanted to talk to people. I just wanted to interact. I just wanted to have something that wasn't like, a rejection or this constant feeling of like I was stuck to this social realm that I was in, right? My social skills were terrible. And so in those 3 months, in the whole period that I said this intensity, I lived, I breathed, I listened to. I literally used to, before it was like condemned, I put my iPhone underneath my pillow and listened to them talk over and over and over.
While you sleep?
Yeah.
I've done that for years and years and years and years.
Crazy.
Yeah, because you literally, your subconscious mind is still so open.
It's amazing.
And it's like a superpower.
It's a hack that not a lot of people know.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then what I found was, after a while, I actually was like, I want to go work for the company. I want to go around the people. So I watched a video with Gary Vee. I always talk about it, called "Getting Around the Sun."
Yeah.
Getting around the people that change your life, or you want to change their life. And so they were doing an unpaid internship, and I was like in communication with them. Went over and banked everything myself. I banked a lot of money and I banked everything, and I ended up getting a position for the company as the guy that saved my life, as his assistant. And then that was the start of the journey, right?
Wow. So okay, let's dive into so here you are going from this absolute about to kill yourself.
Yep.
3 months later, confidence, speaking to people out there, just create because for the people listening to this right now, that it's so insane. I actually don't know the statistics, but the statistics are high of how many people are just going through depression or suicidal or whatever. Yeah, or even if they're not right now, perhaps the people that are just like, man, life's just challenging right now. And you were able to flip it from literally the bottom to complete 180 in 3 months. What were some of these steps you did?
I think the biggest thing, the biggest step that I did was not only what I said before, become a student straight away. In every different position is going to be a different thing, right? So if you're in a particular family scenario, it's going to look like the worst, and no advice is going to be catered towards your advice. Basically, what I did was, I was like, it's a unique situation because I didn't have anything to lose at all, because I had 2 minutes more. I didn't have anything to lose, so I was like, whatever rejections I get, whatever people laugh in my face, whatever happens, whatever friends I lose, I was going to lose them anyway by what I was going to do. And it's funny enough, I did lose a lot of that. I lost all my friends when I joined the company. I lost everything. I lost a lot. I had family members do certain things, and it was pretty bad.
So what made you keep going? Well, yeah, because that happens. That happens when anyone's going to declare and go, this is the direction I want to go in now. You have a whole bunch of people that go try and talk you out of it or whatever, right? And that's the point where people can slip back into mediocrity.
You're right.
Or go forward, right? So can you remember what's going through your head?
So I think it was that internal compass that so this was destiny. I talk about this as being a catalyst in my life. You go back to a point, and you can probably look back in your life. I'd love to know your catalyst. What was the singular event that completely changed my life? The path that it was on. And it was kind of like, if you see, there's a couple of movies where I think it's called The Adjustment Bureau with Matt Damon, and they go through all these doors and there's little links of the life, right? I think about this one event that I was going on this path, and this catapulted me completely different time, like a alternate reality, alternate time, right?
Yep.
So I look back, and I think what it was the steps that I did was, I knew my brain was lying to me. Number one, I knew my emotions were not right. It's a bit controversial to say, right? My brain was lying to me. My emotions were lying to me. I was lying to myself. And then I was cherry picking every bit of evidence that to back my theory of why I shouldn't be here. And that's pretty deep when you really think of it, understanding. So I try to give myself as a third person perspective and okay, well, this shell of a human at the moment, you take back 12 months was not this person. In 12 months now may not be this person, right? But right now, that's what they feel like, right? But if we continue to run on the present, what's happening, and reliving the past, you're going to fill yourself with anxiety. You're going to feel everything. So what I did was I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to align with anything that's happening to me. I'm only going to align with like a future self, which is, okay, well, if this is the step that I have to do this step. Then when I get to that step, make a new calculation, new step. So instead of thinking of the end goal where it was like this whole like, that was never the reality. I just wanted to get one step better.
So you took responsibility and you were looking forward.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I knew that every emotion was like, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that, was like my brain going. Because again, the brain is going, I don't want to change. Why doesn't it change? Because it is comfortable. You have 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 limbs. You're alive. Why does it have to change? You're alive, and that's all it's really concerned about.
Yep.
But I knew that if I wanted to get something that not a lot of people have got, I've got to do things that not a lot of people are going to want to do.
Yeah. So what is social dynamics?
Social dynamics is the all-encompassing interactions that we have in day-to-day life, whether it's dating, whether it's networking with high-status influential people, or networking, or like what we're doing right now. It's our daily interactions. It might be with a family member. It's basically the laws that govern social interaction or interactions between human beings. That's what social dynamics is.
Okay. Because I want to get to some juice here.
Yeah, we're dropping on these. We're dropping.
Where do I kind of want to go? Like, let's start with so would you say when you joined the company, was it predominantly teaching people how to pick up women, or is it how to become better in social settings?
So this is where it gets a little controversial, where people, it's gone on different ways. So basically, if you want to learn something, it's got to be marketed as one thing, but taught another thing, right? So it was marketed as picking up girls, but the underlying thing was spirituality, getting your mind right, getting your body right, physical exercise, meditation. It was understanding different principles about the world. So on the the outset of it, and people do this all day, they cherry pick whatever they want. On the outside, it was like, yeah, look at all these guys, they're picking up girls, which is great, because having girls in your life is a fantastic thing. It never is. It's like we're too scared nowadays to say men and women are attracted to each other. And it's like, you can't say, like, it's so many things we can't say. But back in those days, it was like, that was the gate, the ticket in. And then this whole can of worms opened up, and you're like, okay, I've got to learn to do trauma release. I've got to work on my energy. I've got to work on things like, for example.
So it's like selling them on what they want, giving them what they need.
And when they get what they need, what is the byproduct of that?
And they get what they need.
They become an attractive person.
Yes.
They become very attractive.
So that's what I'm saying. So they get attracted to what you guys are doing, because it's like, I want to pick up more chicks. But the reason they're not picking up chicks is because they got to fix all this other shit.
So much stuff. Now, there back in the day, back in the old PUA community, there was lines in this and that. There was canned lines, and that's what canned lines. So they'd be like, okay, well, you say this, and that person's going to say this, this,
like lines.
This. Yeah,
like scripts and stuff.
Yeah, kind of like a script. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But now it's coming to a whole different thing of how to, like, right now, what I'm saying to you, Morgan, I have no idea what I'm going to say the next thing. It's all because I've learned how to stay in the moment, be present, and let the energy flow.
I was gonna say it to you, right? Like, have you ever used lines? Because it's the joke, right? It's just pick up line, right?
Yeah, of course. Let's take an example, right? You're at a coffee shop, and you know that people in industry work do not like to talk about what they're doing. I hate it. Imagine if I came to you and you were doing your work, and you're like, how's your day going? Is it good? Is it? And you're like, yeah, man, I got shit to do, right? So one of the lines I tell a lot of people is that if you're a scenario, you're in a coffee shop, you see a cute girl and you're talking to her, and you ask her, has there been any crazies come in today?
Yeah.
Boom. Watch that open up.
Yeah.
Right?
She'll be like, here's my first one.
Yeah. She's like, yeah, fuck off. No. Here's another example.
Yeah. But it's like a break state, right?
Yeah.
Because they're so accustomed to thinking just this same repetitive shit, and you come in, you're just someone a little bit different.
1000%. Let's have another one. If you weren't here, where else would you be? Like, I'm new in town. Where else would you be today? Oh, I'd be at the beach. You got to go to Currumbin or this or that, or in the Gold Coast. So it's like, that. Now let's take another example, right? So say if you're talking with someone, like you're at a dinner, right? This is a networking thing. You're at a dinner and you're interacting with someone, and you say, "Oh, is the manager in tonight? I'd like to thank him for the dinner," right? And then you go and you say something along the lines of, "Man, it was lovely. I had a great meal. And what actually brought me here was your SEO marketing on Google. So you can thank Google for that." Now you do that because sometimes, I don't know if you know, restaurants are like, they're not as well aware of how good their SEO marketing online is. So you give a compliment that directly hits them on something they're a little insecure about, they'll love you.
Right.
So
I never knew. Yeah.
There are some lines that you can do. Now, is there ways you can do that without doing the line? Absolutely. But there are some things that you can learn by doing this so many times, so many thousands of interactions. You learn how to bypass people's walls, their guards, let them feel relaxed, like kind of what I did with you. When we first chatted, it was like it was natural, it was flowing. That is not something that is, like, how do you say it? That's something that's cultivated.
Yeah.
That ability that we had, cultivated. Both you've cultivated, I've cultivated that.
Yeah. So both just G's. So let's talk about, because I want to unpack this, okay? So what are, I guess, because you just said, like, it's helping people get past walls. So I guess is the first kind of part of my question is, do most people struggle with, going to speak to, because I'd love to dive into picking up women's part, but then also networking and stuff, okay? Because it's how you do one thing, it's how you do everything. So all the women on here as well, because if it's like if we're only confident around our friends, we're comfortable, right? But like how you gotta go and progress and build that business or get a networking deal or get investors or whatever you want to do if you're shy there. So
1,000%.
Are most people, do you think that they just lack the skills, or is it like fear? Because you said like you've got to lower their guard or get over that wall. So are they fearful of like getting a rejection or saying the wrong thing or something?
Yeah, so let's take it back to like evolutionary psychology theories, right? Let's take it back like a few 100,000 years, right?
Yeah.
You're in a tribe. We do have our tribal mentalities, right? We lived in 150 people tribes back in the day. And one of the things that, let's just take this as one of the theories. There's multiple different theories. But let's just say you said the wrong thing in a tribe. Let's take a guy going up to a girl, for instance, and you approach the chief's wife, right? You would get, banished from the tribe.
Yeah.
Then, or you fought the chief, and then you would have to go assimilate with another tribe, and you would have to fight the chief to get in. So there's like an imminent death coming on. So the feeling that people have, men and women, is that it's not like, oh, I hope they don't reject me. It's a feeling of death. Rejection is a feeling of death. Like if I fuck this up, I may die. That's the thing. And so we say one of the lines, if you ever want to go up and talk to someone, men and women, if you want to go up to talk to someone attracted, ask yourself, am I going to die if I go talk to this person? And then usually it's a rejection. They'll be like, oh no, sorry, I'm not interested.
Yeah. And it's so fun because it's I don't know about you, but I've never, ever, 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 ever in my life still talking to random girls at bars or anything, had someone turn around to me when I said something to them and they say, no, fuck off, you weirdo. I've never had that, But like we make it in our head as like, right? So one thing I always used to do is, because we're future pacing that regardless. We're always future pacing. And most people don't do the things they want to do because they're future pacing the worst possible case scenario. They go scream in your face. The whole music in the club will stop and everyone will think you're a fucking weirdo. Yeah, it's like, this guy really just said, hey, get the fuck out. You're like, that's all plays in our head. Yeah. But if we future pace things like, hey, they're actually also going to be really into me, or they're also looking for investors right now, or they're I started to change that in my head and be like, this person is wanting to have a conversation with me. They're, you know what I mean? And it needs to change a lot.
Why do you go to a social bar?
Dance, sit in the corner and stare at people, then go home alone.
Yeah, you actually go there to talk. It's the one thing, you know what I mean? And that's why you go to clubs. If you ever see the low rankings of the clubs, of like, you go on Google, you type in the loudest club in your city, it's always the one that people can't talk at. Right? And it's just loud as shit and no one can say anything. It's the worst clubs, right? So there has to be that level of where it's loud, it's enjoyable, but it's also, you can talk. Right? Yeah. Because we're social creatures, right? If we share an experience, we want to share it with other people too.
All right. So the people you've coached and the people you've seen come through your programs and everything.
Yep.
What are the main things you see people get wrong when it comes to this?
Big one. No initiative. Waiting for others to give it to them. Oh man, this is the biggest one. Like you will not get the social life you want by accident. Not a chance. No, not a chance. You will not have the friends you want by chance. No. A guy came on my podcast and it was Brandon Carter, and he said success is not the default outcome. Failure is. So you need to, like, if you want it, you have to plan this. You have to do it strategically. You have to do it, but you also have to have this ability where even if it all goes wrong, free from this outcome of ever wanting something. And so initiative is a big one that a lot of the guys might think, initiative, like actually taking it, being like, okay, if I want to do something, I've got to go do it. Every guy comes to me, he's like, oh, I want like those 20 messages when I wake up on Saturday. I'm like, that's great. It'd be like, hey bro, come do this, come do that. And I'm like, that's great. That's fantastic. I'm able to get that for sure. But Here's the thing. How much investment, how many things have I done? How much value have I provided to these people for them to offer value to me? So it's never that you're never going to get value straight away.
Yeah.
Never going to get value straight away. You're always, and rule number 3 of my social life mentoring, my company is lead with value. Give value first.
Yeah.
This is with everything. Give value first. Lead with value. Lead with value. Lead with value.
So because this is the thing I experienced, right?
Yeah.
When I was 18, I wish I could find photos or videos or something of just me and my mates back when we were 18. But
what was Morgan like at 18?
I was a fucking wild, bro.
Wild child.
Just hectic. 18 was just going out clubbing 4 nights a week. 4 nights a week clubbing, drinking all the time, just partying. But when we were 18, we were just our sole mission was just we got to pick up chicks because now we're old and we can go to clubs and that's what you do. Jersey Shore was just, just got real big, right? So we all watched, Jersey Shore through school and stuff. And we thought it was so cool. When you're 18, it's the only thing you think about.
Yeah.
And then we started learning about PUAs and stuff. And I really liked it because it was personal development. I remember having my first affirmations and all these sorts of things. And the biggest thing to switch for me was a few of those things. Okay, my intention of going out tonight is I'm going to try and meet somebody. So I'm going to be a social person. I'm going to go and talk to strangers. I'm going to sit down and get to know people instead of just going out with the boys and getting wasted. Right? Yeah. But what I started to realize was I started to be somebody who I really wasn't because they were all teaching the slimy lines and shit. And they were say this, you got to be like this and all these sorts of things. And so I even started to notice, I was how shit it felt within, trying to do things differently. Do you notice people? So how do I guess the question is this: how do people do this authentically? Where they're doing it for themselves, where they're actually improving their own social status, their own confidence, their own self-esteem, without trying to wear a mask or be unauthentic and please other people.
All right. So the Let's reframe the question a little bit. How does someone be authentic, right? Congruent.
Yes.
Let's just say that. So the first thing that people can do, this is very practical stuff, which is amazing, is understand that incongruency is an inalignment or misalignment between your thoughts, words, and actions. So let's take an everyday scenario, right? You're chilling with a couple of buddies or a couple of girls or whatever it is, and you have that joke spring to mind. You know that joke? You're like, oh, I want to say that joke. But then what if they say it's not, oh no, and then the doubt and all these things start to come in. So that is a common thing that used to happen to me too. I want to say, oh no, I better not. Oh, they know more than me, but what if they and so then I would think my thoughts would start to become a little bit like that. I would be oh, there's that, pretty girl, I want to go talk to her maybe, and then, oh no, she's probably not interested in me. And then your actions are representation. You're your body is physically going, your DNA is going, hey, we want to reproduce, or we want to go connect with these people, increase our status, or go over and talk to that person, but your body's not capitulating with your things. So it all comes down to an alignment between your thoughts, words, and actions. So the one thing that you can do is I always say that we've got Eckhart Tolle talks about the two minds basically, right? I talk about the two minds where you got that first mind, which is that reptilian brain, that DNA level where it's you see a pretty girl, or you see a connection, or you see, for girls, you see that boy. And because back in the day, I'll give you a thing, that girls used to actually go after men. I don't know if you know that. Right? This whole idea
girls used to go after men.
Yeah, girls were the one that initiated connections between men and women. I don't know if you know that. So back in the 1920s.
Well, we're on the Gold Coast now. It's kind of...
It's a little bit different.
It's kind of going back to the olden days.
Yeah, back in the 1920s, girls used to drop their handkerchiefs. And men used to... As
a sign?
As a sign for the man to pick it up and start, here is your handkerchief, miss. It was really nice to meet you.
Really?
Yeah. So this whole, society has a huge...
That's great. When did women get so hard?
A little bit different, eh? Well, this is the thing. Even women shoot their shots now. But you just guys just don't understand. A woman shooting a shot right now is liking your message.
What, no replying?
Yeah, just why doesn't he understand that that's me shooting a shot? And all the women can attest to it. There are certain things that girls do.
Wait. So a guy DMs a girl, I'm just thinking of every single girl's Instagram stories. It's them doing squats in the gym, right?
And she likes it back.
Yep. Right? And then he says some things like, nice lift, right? Less creepy. That's my only thing I can think of. And she just likes it.
Likes it.
That's a good sign?
No, it's contextual to the environment, right?
Okay.
So say if you were like, "Hey, how's it going?" She's like, "Good." Let's take it back to a thing, and then I'll go back to your example. Hey, how are you? Yeah, good. How are you? What you been up to? Blah blah blah. And you start doing that, and then you say something like, "Oh, it's great weather." Blah blah blah. I hope you had a great day, and she likes it, right? And then the guy's like, "Oh, well, she left me on red. Like I couldn't do anything. Like what do I say? What do I do?" And then they take it as like a butthurt rejection, and you're like, "No, necessarily don't do that." Or she might like like one of your Instagram posts. That's like girls are a little bit subtler with the way they show investment now. Back in the 1920s, dropping the hanger sheep is a subtle thing.
That's like a like.
Now, I'm not saying like, the girl's like, no, that doesn't happen. It's all contextual. If you really want to get down to it, I could really get down in the specifics of it. Where
Let's
we
go
can
specifics.
Okay, so the way that you're saying where a girl will, put a booty pic up and then the guy will like it, right? The guy thing, nice lift or something like that. There's so many levels to that. Guys don't know what to say. First of all, they're not suave. Guys are not suave at all. They but here's the thing, because they've been conditioned to not know what to do. Like men don't know what to do at all, right? Because they'll get mixed signals, they get this. Girls don't know what to do. No one in the dating market knows what to fucking do. I will show you that. And it's because there are a lot of elements now that have never been at play until today. Take things like hypergamy, right? For instance,
What is that?
Hypergamy is this concept where women mate across and up dominance hierarchies.
Okay.
So what that means is, have you ever seen a really attractive girl with a ugly dude? Let's just say.
Yeah. He's punching.
And you're going, what the fuck's wrong with that? Like, why? You don't understand that men and women's attraction are completely different, right? If I said to you, Morgan, and I said, hypothetically, you were single, right? And a girl has a Harvard and like a business degree or no degree at all, is that a major contributing factor to you? She's done a high school, she's done everything, and this girl's just got a bachelor degree.
Yeah, not major.
Not major.
No.
But to some women, that's a huge difference. And that's because male and female attraction is totally different.
Yeah.
Men are like a light switch, women are like a volume knob. It takes a lot more for women. Now, here's another thing. I got a book. It's recommended by Jordan Peterson, where it's like a 1,000 Wicked Lies, right? And it's a book you can only get on Booktopia. And it's about that these Google analytic techs, right? They were let run wild. And it was fucking crazy, right? They let run wild. And so they started to look at these, and these nerdy dudes obviously were like, oh, we'll look at different things. So what's the difference between men and women's attraction? And then what they realized is that men watch pornography, right? Women read pornography.
How do you read porn?
Like 50 Shades of Grey. Those books and stuff like that. So it's a whole different thing. And so when you understand, if you actually looked at like male pornography consumption, it's like skip, done, right? Where women, it's like it could be 150 pages to the point of where the book is. There was a meme the other day where there was a 50 Shades of Grey book in a book, and in the middle sections it was all like wet. It was obviously like the sex scene. It was kind of hilarious, right? There was a meme, guys, to relax. I'm not sure.
Yeah, like don't get offended, guys.
But it comes down to, so if you really want to get an overarching principle, it's like, okay, well, in men, a lot of the time it's visual stimulus. So like, let's take, for instance, why is good skin attractive?
You asking me?
Just men and women. Why is good skin attractive?
I don't know.
So let's break it down. Why is good skin attractive?
Looks nice, feels nice.
Okay. It's a honest signal to you that person doesn't have underlying diseases riddling their body that are showing through the skin.
Right.
So a lot of these principles are evolutionary psychology principles that back in the day, it was safety, security, tribe mentality, and all these things that were at play that we wanted. And so they've come through our ancestors, and then we think that they don't matter, but they matter a whole lot more than we think they do. Right?
So this is all just like deep root unconscious, because the primal brain you're talking about, right?
1,000%.
Yeah. So all this happens before we're even aware of anything.
So I'll give you an example. Men are visual creatures. Women, so you see that ugly dude with the girl and you're like, what the hell? Because you're basing women's attraction for men only on looks.
Yeah, which that's what men usually do first.
You got it.
Yeah.
That's what men do.
Yeah.
Right? What does she look? What does her body look? What are her hips? Because they're showing her her fertility, right? Her hip to ass ratio, her waist, her breasts, her this and that. But women don't look at men like that. There's a lot more that goes into it. So we go through the 7 pillars of status, right? So let's take in social status. Why is it important, Morgan, if your girl was looking at you for a potential mate or anyone, that you have high social status? And what that means is that you are a leader among men. You are high ranking in the tribe.
Like provider, safety.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's important. Okay, let's take in another example, right? Why is social media important nowadays? like clout. Same principle.
It's the same thing, right?
Same
It's like it's
principle.
the alpha.
If a lot of people follow you,
You're
that,
someone.
that thing. So things like, oh, it's just this and that, but it's just signals that women look for differently than men, right?
Yeah.
Let's take another example.
And unconsciously, you're saying, right? So they're not like consciously going, he's got more followers, so he's more attractive.
Unconsciously, yes.
So unconsciously, they perceive the guy who's got 50K following versus 2,000 friends. They'll perceive him as being more, this guy must be somebody. Attractiveness.
Now, all the bitter people will be like, no. Let me keep going down with more evidence, right? So let's just take looks. Now, why do guys go to the gym?
I don't know. If you ask Gold Coast dudes, I think they go to the gym for all the other bros.
All the other bros and stuff like that.
It's a
irrefutable evidence that you are visually, you have a stature that you could potentially, it's a safety thing again, that you could beat anyone up that tries to take your girl. Sure. It's a safety thing. So if the girl's with you, she feels safe, secure, protected.
Yeah.
Right. But nowadays it's all completely different, where it's like, I don't need to be protected, this and that. But a lot of people still go for these honest signals, right?
So number one highest value of a female is safety.
Yeah. That's why, think about it. Haven't you heard the 666 that they're all going on about?
No.
6 inches, 6 figures, 6 feet.
Oh,
that's what girls want, the 666.
No.
Right? So again, you want to take someone that's 6 feet tall. Why do girls like tall guys?
Protective. Yeah.
Because it's that stature. Again, why is financial freedom such an important thing? And I want to get onto that because it's good. Security, because you have the ability that fuck you money to be like, I'm not going to take this bullshit that something gets thrown at you.
Yeah.
Every single thing is a factor. And now guys, because the game got harder, they started to become more and more bitter. Instead, this is why, like, guys, I see guys as not willing to change, right? When times have changed. Social dynamics, what I teach, I could say shit right now that in a month is completely wrong. That's how fast the dynamics of the world change, right? And that's crazy. You see, like, someone says something controversial 10 years ago, now it's being brought up. 10 years ago, completely different frame. We don't think about that. Everyone in the globe was thinking the very similar things, or, let's just say the culture hadn't, caught up to where we are now. It's a completely different mind frame. Yeah.
So you mentioned before the 7 steps or something.
7 pillars of status.
What are they? Can we go through them?
All right. So I've talked to you. Which are the ones I've said?
Okay, because I want people to, when they're listening to this, they're like, this is dope. So we're talking about heaps of cool shit, right?
Yep.
So now everybody knows why it's important, right? So especially for men listening, I think men are going to get heap more out of this podcast than women. But women
sorry,
listen.
Guys.
It's cool.
I'll try to get some women stuff.
But it's also like, but this is good for women to know.
Yep. Yeah,
as well, right?
Yeah, 1,000%. There's no reason why they shouldn't know this stuff also.
Yeah, because it's such an interesting thing, because it's like you're talking about this is like where how mind's made, but we actually do see often very masculine women go after not the authority alpha male dude, and they might repeat relationships that they're unhappy with, and for me, you might tell me otherwise, but I think you'd agree, it's things they need to look at. Because it's like it's things that they're not even being fulfilled like whole amongst themselves yet, or whatever, right? So it's all very relatable for everybody. Yeah, definitely. But we know the importance now of having high status.
Yes,
okay, so teach us what's the 7 levels to it.
So there's 7 pillars to it, and so it comes down into, this is a test that I run all my guys, and it's a really, really good test where it's just your social status ranking among people, right? Let's just take one, social status. Number 2 is looks, and looks come into, there's a whole demographic. Every one of them is broken down to an obscene level, so I'll just give you the brief ones. But it'd be like age, looks, it'd be height, weight, muscle, all those things. So looks is the look about you, whether you have a beard, no beard, that looks is a big one, because a lot of people like a certain archetype out of, a lot of girls like a certain archetype out of a guy, or not saying that they always go after the same dude, but you probably see, and you ever seen a few potential girls being like, they seem to go after the same. Yeah. Or guys go after the same kind of girl, blonde, blue, brunette, whatever it is. So we like what we like, and there's nothing that we can really do. Is what we're attracted to. And if you want to go back, I don't know if it's, I can't remember who it is, but I think it's it could be the one that said it's like your mother. You usually attract girls that are very similar to your mother, too. I think I can't remember who it is. That's annoying that I can't do that. That's what I hate. Something about myself I hate is that when I can't remember something like this, I have to like if you want to be professional about life, you have to be able to do these kind of things. Like you have to be able to recall as much information as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
So I hate that. So I'm going to go home. I'm going to have to do.
It'd keep me up
what
at
do I
night.
have to do? What do I have to do? Tell me what I have to do with slipping that bit of information. I'll do it fast. I'll do it.
We'll put it in.
We'll
Figure out a way. We'll put it in the show notes.
So looks is a big one.
Yeah.
Social media, big one too. If you can get as many followers as possible, great. You know.
Yeah.
But then again, you know, you can't just buy 1 million followers and have no posts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, girls can see through that. You're not faking anyone, guys. You're not faking anyone, right? So there's some other ones about naturalness. So say if a guy grew up with a sister, he's a little bit more natural around women. Why? Because there was so many more hours he's put in, so much more reps. Whether it was like, you know, say if he was in a family of girls, he just knew how to talk to them, right? He knew how to interact with them. So that'd be another one. You've got game, so your ability to be able to handle yourself talking to an attractive female. Big one, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like what I did, right? And so that they're the kind of steps that we look through. Now there's other ones like logistics, right? So, you know, your logistics, you know, how many close friends, and now we've met your close friends, which are amazing. They're an amazing bunch of boys. And so it was like your ability to be able to say, if you're in trouble, call on those people. That is important. The place that you live, it has a massive, the environment. You talk about your environment as being one of the fucking key elements, you know, in the four steps. Like what's that number one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Environment, number one.
Yeah.
That's huge. You know how big it is. And so people don't underestimate. Like I moved to Brisbane about 6 months ago. I was trying to build a whole new circle from scratch and film it. And that was great. I love Brisbane. But 3 months, you know, I hated the place. I fucking hated it. Hated it.
Right, because so you weren't just happy in your general environment.
Yeah, I just wasn't happy. Right?
Yeah.
It wasn't, you know, it wasn't great. So you got those kind of things. Now, there's a couple other ones that you really, really want to look at, which is, so when you couple them all together, there's a couple other ones, right? So when you couple them all together, you give yourself a rank, right? They're the most important ones. Let's just say they're the most important ones, right? So when you couple them together, you're going to get a rank out of like 70. You give yourself out of 10.
Yeah.
Right? And then you're going to get yourself a real life estimate of what your value is.
Right.
So you know how people say, I'm a 7 out of 10?
Yeah.
Who says that? Everyone says that. Like 5 out of 10 is the average.
Yeah.
Like, just so you know that there has to be a 5 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you take 8 billion people, right? You're better than 4 billion, but 4 billion are better than you, right? So when people are saying 7 is the new 5, pretty much, like the new middle. So when I give a true estimate to these guys, and I really say, look, don't think of it, don't, you know, if you rank yourself in like, oh man, I'm so low, don't give yourself like, oh damn, this sucks. Be like, okay, there's things to improve in. And this gives you the idea of how to improve your life.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing I'm getting from this, right, is like, because I see so many dudes, you know, that struggle socially, or you know, we'll just keep saying women because it's a thing.
1,000%.
You just listed all these things, right? But I think the biggest problem is people don't actually have the initiative. Like you were saying a little while ago, you're like,
to do it.
Yeah, they just want it to happen.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's even the people that we see, you know, the wicked football players, the people who just looks like they've got it all together and they rock it in life. Mm-hmm. I doubt it. It didn't just happen like that. There's been a series of things, but a decision, like, at least for me, I made a decision a long time ago that I'm going to actively grow every area of my life. It's like, I want to, you know, and
that's why you're valuable.
Yes. Right. But it's like, I made a decision to actively grow it and work on it and
think how much did you overcome to get to where you're at?
Yeah. Like a heap of shit.
Right.
Right.
That's what made it valuable.
Yes.
You're 100% on the point.
But I see so many people, like, especially, we'll keep referring to the Gold Coast. You see, like, you know, dudes, if they want to become attractive, right? And they go to the gym, they get the fake tan, and they get social media.
Yep.
But then they miss the other pillars as well.
Yeah. 100%.
Right? So, like, what I'm hearing is, like, a big combination of actually doing many things.
Yep.
Or you'll just sort of keep attracting the same person, or it'll lead to some unfulfillment.
Yeah, definitely. You're going to see that more and more, you know, more as the years go on, because people are trying to compete in the sexual market value. And one of the big things that I've seen, and everyone can say this, is like, we had a globalization of the sexual marketplace in 2012, 13, 14, which is like Instagram, right? Mm-hmm. We had a big thing. I'll give you some statistics, right? I've got some statistics actually on my phone the other day. I was bringing it up. That back in, I think it was like 2012, guys under the age of 30, right, over the age of 30, was 8% were virgins.
Under 30?
Over 30. Let me get
your statistics. I love statistics.
Okay.
This is great.
All right.
This is good shit.
So men under 30. Yep, here we go. in 2012, men under 30. Let me just double.
So between 18 and 30?
Yeah, 18 and 30.
Okay.
Right. 18 and 30 in 2010, it was 8%.
Is this Australia or worldwide?
Well, this is America.
Okay, America.
Right?
America.
America. And then, right, since 2010 to now, it's jumped up to 27% in 2019.
In the last 10 years.
The last 10 years, 27%.
Social media has been the only thing that's been brought
sexual market, the globalization of the sexual marketplace, which is that Instagram made it accessible to every single person in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened, a lot of people come on my podcast and I say a last question and they say Instagram's been the worst thing that's ever happened to the world. Worst thing that's ever happened. It's kind of hard because...
For this space. How come?
For the world. For
why? Okay, why?
So... There's a lot of things you can take into consideration. It can go both ways, right? Both ways you can do this, but let's just take back in the day. So when I talk about hypergamy back in the day, it was pretty much 10% of the guys in any sort of environment are getting with over 80, or 10 to 20% of the guys are getting with over 80% of the girls, which is what principle?
Yeah, 80-20 rule.
80-20 rule.
Mm.
Oh, interesting. So this is not me, this is the 80-20 rule, which is a real thing. So take another statistic. I've got some other statistics for you, right? I'll back it up with stats. I'll show you stats so you don't think, right? On average, statistic was done. Women, on average, regard 80% of men as below average attractiveness.
How much percentage?
Regard 80% of men as below average attractiveness.
But how many women regard 80% of men?
So this was the study they did.
Okay.
It was like 100,000 people. Now let's go some dating things, right? Mm-hmm. So there's 9-to-1 ratio on Tinder at the moment in most countries.
9 men to 1.
9 men to 1, right?
Wild.
On average, men like 60% of the profiles shown to them. Women, have a guess how much, Morgan?
11%.
4.5%.
Oh.
Right? So
I've never used Tinder. I've had it, but I've never...
A massive difference, which is the 80-20 principle, right?
Yeah.
So it means that the most high-value men in society are getting with... And so everyone else, the 80%, have to go after the 20. So they hate the other 20, obviously, because they're not them. Mm-hmm. But it's a thing of safety. It's like women want to be around the highest value person. I tell every single woman, be around the highest value person you can get. Get the most high-value guy you can get. The most absolute high. I urge every woman to do that. Try to go as far and beyond, right? Work on yourself, attract this high value guy, make sure he's got money, make sure he's got security and safety, and look for those things so that your life is going to be fucking set, right? You're going to contribute to him, he's going to contribute to you. It's a win-win. Find that win-win relationship. So don't ever think that I'm against women. I fucking love women. I think they're the best things in the world. That's what my whole life is about them. Pretty much my whole life is about them, as well as networking. And so I want to get more into networking too. But again, it's like the most high value guys are going to get all the connections too, because they offer something, right?
So yeah, let's talk about that. Talk about the networking side of things.
So when you've got guys that want to improve their social circle, want to create a tribe, want to create a like-minded individuals around them, right? So say if you didn't have any friends, right? Mm-hmm. What are the steps to get friends? No one knows that. And that was my thing. I didn't know how to make friends, and now I have a system that I do. So one of the things that you can do is literally get out of the house. Mm-hmm. Number one, you're not gonna make friends inside, unfortunately. Why is that? Well, what do you think that is, Morgan?
You're not gonna make friends in the house?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to leave the house. You probably don't really like people coming over either.
You're more of an introvert. But what you're gonna find is that your connections have never flourished more than in person.
Yeah.
Us hanging out right now. Think about I'll show you the dynamics that are at play right now. We both have an emotional bank account right now, me and you, right? So let's take, if I could take some bloody whiskey. We have an emotional bank account. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey talk about the emotional bank account. Both of us right now are having a great conversation. You're learning, I'm learning about you, and we're going to do another one. It's even going to be even more, right? Yeah. We're investing time, energy, emotions, where we're having a great chat. So we're putting a lot of good emotions into a hypothetical bucket, right? So the more things we hang out with, what happens, you reckon?
More people we hang out with?
Me and you, the more time we hang out.
Our love will grow even stronger.
We'll grow.
Our bromance will grow.
So that happens, right? It gets more and more and more. But then you can call upon that. Hey, man, I need something. Can you help me out? Yeah. Absolutely. Because we have an investment. We have things we can draw upon, like a bank, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the thing, right? People don't know that their relationships are based on an investment thing, a win-win. A lot of their relationships are win-lose. It might be lose on their end, it might be win on their end, but their friends losing, right? You need to have win-win relationships. So you need to be investing in your relationships, investing into you. Say if I saw something funny and I sent it to you and it was funny, we shared a little bit of money, a little bit more liquid to the bank account, a little bit more money to the bank account. We continue to stack that up. That is the way to get a new connection. Now, the tricky thing is that once you can do it in your daytime, you've got a few friends. How do you do it with high status people? We're talking celebrities, politicians, aristocrats, Russian oligarchs, prince, like, big time. That's what we're trying to go with. And that is a little bit interesting because now you've got someone that everyone wants, right? What's the one thing when someone that has everything that people want their attention? What is the one thing that they lack?
I don't know.
Think about a celebrity, manager calling him. Oh, you got to do this, got to do that. People, can I have a selfie? Can I this? Can I do that?
They don't have any of that emotional,
like
real deep connection with a person.
Rule number 3 of the program.
Which is what?
Lead with value.
Yeah.
Lead with value. Everyone's trying to take something from them. No one's giving them anything.
Yeah.
Right? No one's giving. Like, imagine if you just gave. Like, you did as many things as your friends. People get this mistaken where they just start to do a lot and then they get a pushover. Like, they get, people start using them. But what you can do is you can learn to balance that. But you give a lot more value to people, you'll find that you'll get that in return. You'll get those Saturday afternoon texts. You're like, yo, bro, come out here, do this, do that. Because you've given that. If you organize a Sunday fun day like you used to do, that was a fucking great idea. Back in the day you used to do. You invited some people.
We'll kick it off again. Well, now we're doing poker instead now.
Oh,
just up the rates a bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Sunday fun day's got a bit of a fee to it.
I would love to, actually, I'm gonna publicly put it here. Actually, those of you not in my Facebook group yet, go ahead and jump in the Facebook group. The link's in the description. I have been thinking about it for a while. I might start running Sunday fun days again, but just for the Dream Out Loud community. So we put it just down to our Facebook group, and we'll just start running inside of there, because. Yeah, that way everyone's like-minded, everybody wants to come together. Yeah. And
look at you giving value straight out. I love that.
Hey, yeah, look at this podcast, totally for free.
100%. Because you've given value. So there's a secret level at which we communicate at. Yeah. Then there's the energy level. Yeah. That is where the real shit happens. And that's what people just don't understand. That there's an energetic connection that's happening between me and you right now that's based on respect. We respect each other. But say if I do something fucked up, you're going to think of me a little bit weird, which you've talked about, which is your RAS. You're going to start to see worse and worse traits in me. But if we have a big investment, as someone that you've known like for a long time, like done something fucked up to you?
To me?
Or something fucked up.
Oh yeah, my mate's pretty fucked up.
You still love them because you have a lot of investment with them.
Yes.
Right? But imagine if someone that just met you also did that.
Yeah, it'd be different.
Whole different. Why is that? Why?
Yeah, it's just the strength's not there.
It's not physical. You can't touch it. Yeah. But what is it? It's history. It's investment. It's time. All of these things. So connections are based on this energetic principles that I teach. This back and forth that a lot of people aren't aware of. That's not taught in school. But that's a very fundamental thing. And this is the thing I didn't even know. I didn't know. And I've learned this from interacting with thousands upon thousands of women, thousands upon thousands of guys, and really just getting a vibe of like where the world is. Because like it's promoted like one thing, but where it actually is a completely different area.
Yeah. Dude, we have to wrap this up.
We could talk for hours, can we?
Yeah, we'll do a second one. We'll do a second one for sure. Real quick, what's like 2 things you'd give these listeners, like to improve their confidence, their self-esteem, their just ability to connect and speak? What's 2 things you'd give these guys?
So number 1 would be go out and get rejected a lot, because you'll learn that rejection isn't the death sentence that you feel it is. Right? Yep. The more rejection you get, the more you're able to calibrate a little bit more. The more you're able to get better and better and better. That would be number 1, which is also going outside and doing all these things. Number 2, take initiative in life with single thing that you do. Understand where I came to the principle, which was that anything that's valuable is not going to be easy, and you shouldn't want it easy. You should want it hard. You should want it. It's going to take a lot of your effort, but it's going to be so worth it, right? So I did the things. I had an internal compass where I felt nervous. There's rational nerves and there's irrational nerves. Like rational nerves, you're standing on a cliff of a mountain, and that's rational. Yeah. That's like you don't stand. Irrational is like, oh my god, if I talk to that girl, like oh my god, like.
Yeah.
So what I would say, as Morgan hits his elbow, his funny bone right there, I would say the irrational fear was the compass for me. So whenever I'd be like, oh my God, that's a pretty girl, I should go talk to her, or I should go host that party, I'm nervous. I knew that was my compass. Go do that. That's the thing that's going to change you. That's the thing. And you got to judge where it's irrational and rational, don't get me wrong, right? So there'd be the two things, go out and actually be proactive with your social life because it's not going to come with you. And secondly, the second thing is going to be more, actually where you feel a little bit of nerves, that's where you're at the edge of change.
I love it. Cool. And to wrap this up, I got one final question for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready, Morgan.
If you were to go back to your 18-year-old self and give him 30 seconds of advice, what would it be?
all of my teachings, I teach for my 18-year-old self. So that's Sam there. I teach everything. I actually put a tweet up about this, and it was a reel, and I would say to myself that it's very, very cliche, but just the situation you're in right now is the catalyst of your life. So it's the moment you're living, the moment that changes your life right now. That's what I say, 18-year-old Sam.